What's going on, Dolphins fans? It is your boy Dillon, and I am here with you today. Just finished watching the absolutely putrid performance by the Miami Dolphins and the complete dismantling and demolishing that happened at the hands of the Ravens. So look, I definitely suggest you guys watch. I mean, it's over 3 hours. I get it. But, I would definitely suggest you guys watch the live stream that I did, to get my commentary. You just watch old videos to get my commentary. You guys know how I feel. Obviously, we're going to continue to talk about those things as time goes on and this chaos continues. So I'm going to leave my commentary out of this video for the most part. I'm just going to give you, the game stats. I'm going to give you some stats that were posted on Twitter by various, media members, right? Stuff that they found or what have you. I'm also going to talk to you about some quotes from Brian Flores, which I will give a little bit of personal commentary on. And then finally, one of my newest subscribers, Thomas Lahout, posted a couple really good articles on as comments on the preview video that I did for the Dolphins Ravens game. He posted those into the comment section, so I suggest you read those. I am actually going to read one of them to you at the end of all of this, because I think it beautifully expresses everything that I've been attempting to express to you guys, up to this point, and I've been saying all this stuff from the beginning of this whole change, the firing of Gase and this whole new regime and stuff like that. I've been consistent with all the things that I've been saying. So, we'll get into that. So first thing, like I said, I want to give you the stats, just the stats from the game. Like I said, I'm going to try and leave my commentary out as much as possible. I mean, these stats speak for themselves. So first and foremost, the most important thing, we lost. So we now start the season 0-1. At this point, with the way things are currently, I don't believe that we are going to win any games this year. That is my firm prediction at this point. I think we are going to go 0-16. We lost the game to the Baltimore Ravens at home. It was our home opener at Hard Rock Stadium. We got shellacked. We got, mopped up with. Like, it was like a heavyweight fighter going up against like a welterweight fighter, and it just wasn't fair at all. And the final score was 59-10. I mean, it's just absolutely atrocious. But it gets so much worse. Like I said, I'm going to try super hard to leave my personal commentary out of this as much as possible, because otherwise this video will go on forever and ever, and I'm just going to let the stats and stuff speak for themselves. And the article and, all the tweets and stuff. So total yards, we had 200, not anywhere near acceptable. They had 643. So this, Brian Flores and his, whatever. He's supposed to be this fucking defensive genius. Let up some pretty terrible numbers. In fact, set some franchise records that are not good. We'll get into that in a minute. So we gave up 643 total yards. We had 179 passing. They had 378. We had 21 rushing yards. They had 265. We had 4.3 yards per play. They had 8.8, staggering 8.8. We lost one fumble and gave away 2 interceptions. They didn't have any turnovers whatsoever. We were 30% on third down. They were 63%. We had the ball for 19 minutes and 53 seconds. They had the ball for 40 minutes and 7 seconds. And so again, already, as I've been saying from the beginning, and frankly, I mean, I was, trying to give the benefit of the doubt, saying that this defense was going to be our strong suit, but that was before Brian Flores decided to cut just a bunch of people for absolutely no reason. Shall we list them? Let's see. Vincent Taylor, TJ McDonald, He traded Kiko Alonso, which was absolutely stupid. Got a massive downgrade from the linebacker swap. Akeem Spence letting Cameron Wake go. I mean, it's just fucking crazy, and we already have injuries because of it. The defense spent 40 minutes of the game on the fucking field. We also had 9 penalties to boot, and they had 4. Passing statistics, Ryan Fitzpatrick was 14 out of 29. That's 48.3% completion percentage. For 185 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. We only managed 1 touchdown the entire game. He had a 66 passer rating. Okay? Josh Rosen did enter the game because, I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick sucked. The entire offense sucked. The entire team sucked. Ryan Fitzpatrick was getting mauled. And, you know, a lot of people were saying, well, there was no point in really putting Rosen out there at that point. But I was saying that you should, just from the aspect of you don't want to get Ryan Fitzpatrick murdered in his first game. You'd actually like the dude to be able to survive. And as a, you know, it's already, Brian Flores already said that, you know, he's going to be the starting quarterback next week. So I guarantee you we're going to see the same thing. I've been predicting that Ryan Fitzpatrick will remain the starter for anywhere between 2 to 4 games until, you know, I would say, you know, it's actually likely that he remains the starter for the first 4 games and going into the bye. Maybe after the bye they make a change. But I would say somewhere between 2 to 4 games. It depends though, because either he's going to get hurt or he's going to play so bad that behind this terrible offensive line that they finally just put, you know, Josh Rosen out there as the starter. But he's not going to fare any better. Let's look at his stats for when he was in the game. Josh Rosen was 1 of 3, completed 1 of 3 passes, which that's pretty simple math. 33.3% completion percentage for 5 yards. Dude had 5 yards, 1 interception, no touchdowns, and a 2.8 passer rating. Not joking. He had a 2.8 passer rating. Let's juxtapose that to the Ravens quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson was 17 of 20, 85 completion percentage for 324 yards, 5 touchdowns, which tied a well, you know, I'll get into that because it's all in the tweets. There was several records set today. Good ones for the Ravens, bad ones for the Dolphins. He had 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a perfect 158.3 passer rating. Robert Griffin III came in because eventually, why would you even take a chance of getting your starters hurt when it's 59 to fucking 10? You're leading in the 4th quarter by 49 points. There's no hope or prayer that we could ever mount any kind of comeback at that point. It was just absolutely ridiculous. Even though there are fucking morons that were in my live stream chat saying, oh, you're giving up on it and there's still 14 minutes of the game left even though we're down by 49 points. Yeah, because the game's over. Like, is it really, do you really, like, stupid. Also, too, just real fast, you know, with all due respect to the other, YouTubers and stuff, man, look, it's super disingenuous and naive to sell people false hope when it is clear that there is no hope. We're going to be absolutely garbage for the entirety of the season. So, and frankly, probably next year as well. So, Robert Griffin III, the washed up quarterback that was a star in his first year coming out and hasn't done shit since because he tore his ACL, I believe it was, but he had the major knee injury and then has been, you know, a timid little girl ever since, was a perfect 6 for 6 on his passes, 100% completion percentage for 55 yards, 1 touchdown. Somehow he didn't have a perfect passer rating, but either way, he had 144.4 passer rating. I mean, it's not even comparable. It's like a professional football team played like not even a D1 school. Like it's like they played a Division II at best school college team, right? Like they just fucking absolutely destroyed us. Okay, let's get into rushing statistics further. Right, after all, remember we had 21 total yards. Kenyon Drake led the way there with 4 rushes for 12 yards and a 3 average. Ryan Fitzpatrick, you know, he had 1 run, 8 yards, obviously an 8 average, so that kind of skews the average stats there a little bit, but whatever. Albert Wilson had 1 rush for 1 yard, obviously a 1 average. Albert Wilson was one of the guys that got hurt in this game. He, I believe it's a calf injury, so that's great. Mark Walton had 1 rush, 1 yard, 1 average. Kalen Ballage had 5 rushes, -1 yard, and a -0.02 average. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. I've been saying from the very beginning, this offensive line is going to be putrid. And look, and I was trying to give them, you know, the benefit of the doubt, saying that the defense, but again, that was before all those crazy cuts, but I was saying the defense was going to be the strong suit, and their downfall was going to be the putrid offense and the fact that they had to be on the field the entire time, which was clearly the case, but even the defense was just not good. Shall we continue? For them, Mark Ingram led the way, 14 rushes, 107 yards, 2 touchdowns with a 7.6 average. Anthony Levine had 1 rush. Oh, look at this. 60 yards with a 60 average. Obviously, that's a little skewed there. He only had 1. It managed to be a big one, but it was a big one, and he gashed the fuck out of us for 60 yards. Gus Edwards had 17 rushes, 56 yards with a 3.3 average. Justice Hill had 7 rushes, 27 yards and a 3.9 average. Robert Griffin III threw in 4 rushes, 9 yards, 2.3 average, and Lamar Jackson had 3 rushes, 6 yards and a 2 average. Jesus Christ. Receiving, oh, look at this. Devontae Parker got to lead the way for us. He had 3 out of 7 for 75 yards. Mike Gesicki then followed him with 2 out of 6. For 31 yards. Preston Williams 3 of 5 for 24 yards and a score. Allen Hurns 1 of 3 for 22 yards. Kenyon Drake 2 of 3, 15. Albert Wilson 2 of 4 for 13. Kalen Ballage 1 of 1 for 13. And Jakeem Grant 1 of 3 for -3 yards. Fabulous. I mean, this is just, it's craziness. So for them, Marquise Brown led the way, which, by the way, I want to correct myself from the live stream. I kept calling him Marquise Goodwin, which is not the case. I believe Marquise Goodwin is on the Bills. I believe. Another wide receiver. This is Marquise Brown, who is a rookie. He was 4 of 5 for 147 yards and 2 scores. If I'm not mistaken in this, that was one of the, he did set a Ravens franchise record. I believe it was for most receiving yards by a rookie wide receiver or something along those lines. Also, by the way, the records that we set, which I will get into these tweets, we gave up the most points and the most yards that we've ever given up in a game ever. Period. In franchise history. So that's a wonderful debut for Brian Flores and his supposed, clairvoyance when it comes to fucking defensive schemes and shit like that. Like, Jesus Christ, dude, it's a fucking joke. Mark Andrews was a perfect 8 for 8 for 108 yards and a score. Willie Snead, 2 out of 3, 41 yards and a touchdown. Hayden Hurst, 3 out of 4 for 41 yards. Nick Boyle, perfect 3 of 3 for 26 yards. Seth Roberts had 1 of 1 for 10 yards. Miles Boykin, 1 of 1, 5 yards and a score. Patrick Ricard, 1 of 1, 1 yard and a score. They scored 8 fucking times. 8 touchdowns in this game. Jesus Christ. Fumbles. Jakeem Grant lost 1. It was on a punt. I will say, from my perspective, I don't blame him entirely. Obviously, he does have some blame there, but, and he had those problems in year 1, but he, completely got rid of those problems in year 2 and 3. So now, at the very least, I mean, it's just one time this season, but at the very least, there is the raising of the question that he might have regressed a little bit under this current coaching staff. You could possibly make that argument. But I would also say that it's not entirely his fault. I mean, at that point, we were down by 3 scores or some shit. And so he tried to do more than, he tried to, take it upfield. Or no, I'm sorry. It was a catch, or what was it? No, there was something else. I'm sorry. I can't remember offhand. It was like a catch or something that he tried to turn it upfield and like dropped it or something. I don't remember what it is. To be fair and to be accurate with that, he called the fair catch. He didn't secure it. So like there is a possibility that you could possibly raise the question that under this, because again, he had those issues in year 1 under Adam Gase and Adam Gase's first year, but then in year 2 and 3 completely cleared up. Didn't have that problem at all, right? And then now in the first game under this new coaching staff and regime, well, he seems to possibly have regressed a little bit. He lost it, they recovered it, what have you. Also, real quick, if it hasn't happened yet, I guarantee, hear me now, quote me later, if he hasn't already lost the support and whatever of his players, I guarantee he will lose this locker room at some point, and it will be soon. His players are going to buy out. They're not going to be bought into the system, into the things that are going on. They're going to get super demoralized because we're going to get fucking thrashed every single game of the fucking season. We're going to end up going fucking 0-16, I believe. And so, it's just going to, plus there's been a lot of, controversy within the organization between some players and coaches, including Minkah Fitzpatrick. A lot of players are like, there's just a lot of, look, it's going to come to a head and it's going to bubble up, and this regime is not going to last. Just saying. Anyway, so let's get to the defensive statistics. Eric Rowe led the way for us. He had 9 solo tackles with 2 assisted. Rashad Jones had 4 solo, 1 assisted. Minkah Fitzpatrick, 4 solo, 2 assisted. Walt Aikens, 3 solo, 3 assisted. Devon Godshaw, 3 solo, 2 assisted. John Jenkins, 3 solo, 1 assisted tackle. Bobby McCain, 3 solo, 1 assisted tackle. Bobby McCain has an injury of some sort. Raekwon McMillan had an injury of some sort. So again, we're already losing guys. More so on the defense because they spent 40 fucking minutes of the game on the field. Let's see. Sam McGravian had 2 solo and 2 assisted tackles with a half sack and a tackle for loss. Jonathan Ledbetter was 1 solo, 3 assisted with the other half sack. So we got 1 total sack and 1 tackle for loss in this entire game defensively. And then Chris Lamons threw in a pass defense. So we had 1 total sack, 1 tackle for loss, and 1 pass defense, juxtaposed to their, let's see, what did they have? They had, bear with me for just a moment. Let me go back to the stats here. The Ravens had in total 2 interceptions, 1 fumble recovery, 7 passes defensed, 3 sacks, and 6 tackles for loss. Massive difference. Okay, so let's continue on and let's get into that. So Patrick Onwuasor, I'm sorry, I'm probably butchering this dude's name, led the way for them. 5 solo tackles, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, and a pass defense. Anthony Averett had 4 solo tackles and a pass defense. Matt Judon had 3 solo tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss. Michael Pierce had 2 solo tackles, 1 assisted, 1 tackle for loss. Pernell McPhee had a solo, 2 assisted, 1 sack. Marlon Humphrey had 1 solo tackle, 1 tackle for loss, 1 interception, and 2 passes defensed. Earl Thomas had a solo tackle, 1 interception for 14 yards and a pass defense. Chuck Clark had a solo tackle with 1 pass defense. Justin Bethel had the fumble recovery, and Brandon Carr threw in a pass defense. In the kicking game, Jason Sanders was 1 for 1 in his only field goal. It was from 54 yards out, so good for him. I believe that may have been even a career long, and he was good for his 1 extra point. Justin Tucker was good on his only field goal, which was 34 yards, basically a chip shot. And he was perfect on his 8 attempts for extra points. For the love of Christ, 8 attempts because they scored 8 fucking touchdowns. In the punt game, Matt Hawk punted 6 times for a pretty impressive 53.7 average, 2 inside the 20 with a long of 58. But compared to their punter, Sam Koch, he had 1 punt, 56 average, obviously a long of 56, and that one landed inside the 20. Kickoff returns, Jakeem Grant had 3 for a 19.7 average with a long of 23. Justice Hill had 1 with a 9 average, obviously a long of 9. Jakeem Grant had 1 punt return, didn't go anywhere. Cyrus Jones had 2 with a 14.5 average, long of 15. So, there you have it. That is the stat breakdown for the entire game. And as you can see, the stats tell a very compelling story that this team is absolute garbage. And I think it's pretty convincing. Okay, so I now want to get through and get into some tweets that were put out. I thought were, really, really telling. Okay, so let's just go through some of these. From Adam Beasley, in their last 3 meetings, the Ravens have outscored the Dolphins 137-16. Obviously, that's, in part on Adam Gase. That's in part on Joe Philbin in the previous regime as well. So, there's a lot there. Yeah. Not good. Also from Adam Beasley, along with their 3 sacks and 6 tackles for loss, Ravens had 12 quarterback hits today. Dolphins' offensive line needs to get better fast. It's not going to. Ryan Fitzpatrick mentioned how it's embarrassing to get your ass whooped like that. Well, I hope you're ready to be very, very embarrassed for the rest of the season. It's going to be very difficult to watch. Adam Beasley also tweeted this: credit to the vast majority of Dolphins who stayed and took accountability for today's loss in the locker room. Only a handful of key guys made themselves scarce. I would venture to guess that it's going to continue to be, or that is going to increase as time goes on. Also from Adam Beasley, Dolphins players aren't mad at the Pats for fake punt, etc. It's the National Football League at the Pats. I think he meant to say the Ravens. I don't know why he said the Pats. Anyway, let's see. What else? Bear with me here. Okay. Cameron Wolf tweeted this: Brian Flores didn't lean on a lack of talent as a reason why they lost today, which it's pretty clear and obvious that there is a lack of talent. And again, if you go across the board, we downgraded very seriously. Let's see. Real quick, safety, definitely downgraded overall. Cornerback, kind of the same, kind of neutral. Okay. Linebacker, definitely downgraded. Defensive tackle, definitely downgraded. Defensive end, definitely downgraded. Wide receiver, definitely downgraded. Tight end, about the same. Offensive line across the board, definitely downgraded. Quarterback, definitely downgraded. Running backs, slight downgrade, because I definitely would have kept Frank Gore personally, but not a massive downgrade. Okay? Anyway, but this is what he said. We've got the guys that we've got. We got to play better. We got to coach better. I am not an excuse maker. Bullshit, because you've already given a myriad of excuses on several different topics. You put that in the excuse bucket and kick it to the curb. Well, he should probably take his own advice. I don't imagine he's going to. And on the comment about we've got the guys we've got, that's fascinating. We've got the guys we've got. Well, I wonder who it was that chose the guys that are on the team. Yes, I would say that definitely has some to do, at least, on Brian Flores, for sure, without question. Chris Greer, without question. And the front office, absolutely. but you're sadly mistaken. You're a fool if you think that Brian Flores, the head coach, has absolutely no say. That's preposterous, and it's ridiculous, and it's absurd. So obviously is he fully to blame for it, to be fair? No, of course not. But he has a pretty substantial piece in that puzzle. And so, yeah, you kind of did it to yourself there, guy. So that's an excuse, right? I mean, you're trying not to use it an excuse, right? He's trying to say, well, we got the cards that we've been dealt, and so we just got to deal with it, no excuses. But that kind of is an excuse in and of itself, because you essentially dealt those cards to yourself. So we are the dealer and the player in this case, and we dealt the cards to ourselves. So, yeah. You're kind of actually making excuses and trying to distract from the underlying terrible decisions that you're making as a head coach. Also from Adam Beasley, never seen a Dolphins locker room empty out this fast. Well, I wonder why. That's interesting. Ryan Fitzpatrick is the starter next week. We know that. Brian Flores, we got problems on offense, defense, and special teams. We'll try to fix them all. Good for you. Let's see how well that works out with your absolutely just appalling approach to this so-called rebuild. I mean, it's I mean, where are the words for this? Like, it's buffoonery. It's clownish. It's a fucking circus. Brian Flores said they put Josh Rosen in the game because it was a blowout. Wow. I mean, Brian Flores, we didn't accomplish anything. Well, you're definitely right about that, coach. You fucking suck. Oh, here's another thing that he's right about. It starts with coaching. It starts with me. I have to do a better job. Well, you are absolutely right about that too. And guess what? You've proven to suck really bad at it. So, you got a long fucking way if you want to try and fucking fix that shit. And I mean, Jesus Christ, dude, this is insanity. It's absolutely insanity. From Mike Clay, absolutely atrocious display by the Dolphins, but we can't be surprised. They got rid of a ton of veteran talent, not to mention leadership and production, didn't replace them. Not only did they not replace them, but they clearly downgraded with all of the supposed replacements that they brought in, and then made a ton of waiver claims last week. Rebuild is going to be ugly in 2019. Also, not only do you have a lot of these fucking clowns like Omar Kelly and Dave Hyde, who before the game today, I watched their, X's and Omar's shit, and they, like a lot of people in the media and the fan base, prior to the Tunsil trade, specifically, but also obviously with Kenny Stills and Kiko Alonso being traded, prior to that, damn near everyone, especially in the media and a lot of the fan base, was like, oh no, man, they were super buying into Flores. Everybody's been trying to make excuses for him, being like, no, dude, he's gonna bring us to prominence and make us a wonderful team and exceed expectations, and we're gonna be this surprise contender. And then all of a sudden, just like that, I mean, I've been saying it from the very beginning, but all of a sudden, just like that, now the vast majority of people in the media and the fan base are not only acknowledging the fact that we are blatantly and clearly tanking, despite the fact that our head coach wants to just, brazenly lie to everybody about it. Now, not only does the vast majority of people in the media and the fan base acknowledge that we're tanking, but they're super fucking excited about it. Why are you excited about it? Especially considering the fact that up to this point, with the current, way things have gone, and with the draft that we've already had, I have no confidence that they're going to use the cap space and the capital that we have accumulated correctly. Matter of fact, it's pretty likely that we have 4 first round picks in the next 2 drafts, but it's damn near a guarantee we're going to take a quarterback high in the first round this next draft. Actually pretty likely that we could take one the next draft in the first round. But even if you use 2 of those first round picks on offensive linemen, you still got 3 holes on that offensive line to fill. So you're going to essentially, you know, and you don't even know if any of those guys, the quarterbacks or the potential offensive linemen, are even going to pan out. It's a gamble. You're gambling on future assets when instead you could have had Laramie Tunsil, a fucking blue chip generational talent, Pro Bowl, all pro level talent that you know for sure holding down that left tackle spot. You could have had at least Juwan James, you know, settled in for maybe another year or 2 just to have your bookends, you know, maybe eventually, you know, draft his replacement, whatever. But you could have had some stability on that line, and you could have had a clearly better quarterback in Ryan Tannehill. And then instead of picking up Josh Rosen, who you obviously don't have any confidence in really and expect to move on from, you could have gotten Will Grier in round 3 in this draft. And by the way, so I've told you guys many times, I mean, the stats speak for themselves. Ryan Tannehill's been in the league half the time that Ryan Fitzpatrick has, is better across the board in all stats, damn near, and has several Dolphins franchise records along with, including in his rookie season as a rookie quarterback, and an NFL franchise record. Matter of fact, I'm actually going to pull that up right now and tell you what his records are. Let's see. Dolphins franchise records. Let's see, where are they? Dolphins franchise records. Ryan Tannehill currently holds most passing completions in a single season back in 2014 with 392. Most passing completions in a rookie season, right? And a lot of these statistics came in his first 4 years when he was the most sacked quarterback in the league. Okay, but in 2012 in his rookie season, most passing completions in a rookie season with 282. That was in 2012. From 2012 to 2016, so the first 4 years of his career when he was the most sacked quarterback in the league, he had the highest completion percentage for a career in Dolphins history at 62.2%. In 2014, highest completion percentage in a single season, 66.4%, minimum 500 attempts. In 2012, as a rookie, most passing yards in a rookie season with 3,294. Also in 2012, as a rookie, most passing attempts in a rookie season, 484. In 2013, longest rush by a quarterback, 48 yards. In 2012, longest rush by a rookie quarterback, 31 yards. He also, it's not listed here, but he also does own the Dolphins record for rushing yards as a quarterback, and probably rushing attempts as well. And then an NFL record that he holds, most consecutive pass completions at 25, which he set in 2015. To be fair, Phillip Rivers and Nick Foles tied that record in 2018. But he set the record in 2015, 3 years before Phillip Rivers and Nick Foles were able to tie it. Okay? The only record that Ryan Fitzpatrick holds, which he just got this year, was for starting for 8 different teams. Are you fucking kidding me? And who the fuck thinks that there's anywhere close to a fucking comparison between the two? Clearly the much better quarterback. Clearly a drastic fucking downgrade. Dolphins lose from Cameron Wolf. Dolphins lose 59-10. Ugly one is an understatement. I'm sure some Dolphins fans are already counting down until 2020. Oh, I'm sorry. Real quick, I didn't even mention to finish his tweet, it's 15 more games, 60 more quarters that we have to endure of this. But, right, so not only are fucking ass clowns like Omar Kelly embracing this stupid bullshit that's not even gonna work, set us back several years, you know, and super fucking excited about it, but they're also like, yeah, you know, this is actually gonna be a 2-year tank. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Why the fuck do we want that? Anyway. I mean, this is absurd, okay? So here's a tweet from Bo Smoka, and I made this point in my live stream during the game. It was towards the end of the game. You feel like Dolphins coach Brian Flores is calling timeout to make his defense stay out on the field. The Ravens had the ball inside, I believe, the 10 or 15 with about a minute and 50 seconds left to go in the game. They're winning 59 to fucking 10. We have 2 timeouts left, and for fucking some reason, Brian Flores makes the choice of calling a fucking timeout. Why would you do that? You're getting destroyed. There's like less than 2 minutes left to go in the fucking game. Why would you use one of your timeouts to give them extra opportunities to embarrass the shit out of you more? Why are you such a fucking moron? I mean, it's crazy. Adam Beasley. Dolphins have now allowed the most points in yards in franchise history. Julian Davenport allowed a sack on Rosen. Of course, he's terrible. But, you know, I mean, the most stark downgrade we had was going from a generational talent at left tackle and Laramie Tunsil to this fucking hack who fucking sucks and led the fucking league last year and most penalties by a fucking tackle. I mean, what the fuck are we doing right now? What the fuck are we doing right now? Okay, I mean, by the way, Chris Perkins tweeted this. By the way, Brian Flores' last 2 regular season appearances at Hard Rock Stadium haven't been good. There was last year's Miami Miracle, followed by today's debacle. Also, yeah, and again, so many people wanted to give Brian Flores, and I was saying this at the time, nobody else was saying this, but everybody wanted to give Brian Flores so much credit for the defensive effort that the Patriots displayed in the Super Bowl. But I was saying that it was actually a lot more due to the fact that the Patriots were getting helped out by the refs with tons of bullshit calls, and they were given that game just like they were actually given the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs in a very similar fashion. I mean, it's laughable. This shit is laughable. If I wasn't such a diehard fan, man, like, I mean, it would be laughable, but it's really, it's sad, and it pisses me the fuck off because there was no need for any of this. There was no need for any of it. Okay, Adam Gase took an average team at best, because that's what we had been for like 20 years, somewhere between 10-6 and 6-10, generally around 8-8. Took an average team in 2016, surprisingly made us go 10-6 and took us to the playoffs. In year 2, there was just anything and everything that could happen did happen, but the vast majority of it was nowhere near Adam Gase's control, but they had to deal with it. Still managed to go, what was it, fucking 9-7, I think it was, and then we went 6-10 in the following year. Anyway, but that, and then last year was just so many fucking injuries, but also not his fault. He got fired prematurely for things that were not his control. He was instilling a good culture in which, you know, there's trust amongst the players and coaches. They can openly talk and bounce ideas off each other. You know, he was building primarily through the draft, supplementing very calculated supplement. He was very calculated in his supplementation from free agency. He got rid of a lot of, you know, bad contracts, expensive guys like Ndamukong Suh and guys like him and Jarvis Landry and Jay Ajayi, who were divas, selfish players who caused a lot of problems for the team. And then what have they done since then? Right? Ndamukong Suh has completely fallen off and has now bounced around a couple teams. Jay Ajayi didn't do shit. He just so happened to land on a team that won the Super Bowl, not really at all because of him. And then he tore his ACL in his but you know, we don't need to those rumors about his knees not being good. You know, we shouldn't take that into account. Whatever. You know, that didn't have anything to do with it. Right? He was building the right kind of culture. Stupid fucking Brian Flores is trying to emulate the Patriots. It's never going to work. You're never going to turn them into that. And, like, it's a poisonous environment. So many players hate being there. They're shady, underhanded fucking pieces of cheating shit. Okay, I don't want to be the fucking Patriots, but he's trying to replicate it. The only reason why that works is because they have had so much fucking success. Because Bill Belichick is a pretty genius coach overall, aside from his shadiness and his cheating and stuff like that. They have Tom Brady, who is the GOAT, right? But also a fucking cheater. So, I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. From Dov Kleiman, Ravens have set a franchise record, 59 points for a game. Dolphins are a joke. I mean, this is... It's insanity. It's absolute insanity, right? But I've been saying this shit the whole time. You know, nobody wanted to fucking listen. But I'm telling you, man, I'm going to continue being proven right. So, now that I've gone through all that, so obviously, now I'm at 42 minutes on this video. I've clearly ranted far more than I intended to, but it is what it is. Fuck it. Now I'm just going to go ahead. The final thing that I am going to leave you with, though, is this article. Again, Thomas Lahout posted a couple articles in the comments section of my Miami Dolphins versus Baltimore Ravens preview video. I suggest you go read the other article. It was a USA Today article, from Dolphins Wire in USA Today. After uncertainty, Dolphins tank is in full effect in 2019. That's the article headline. I suggest you read that one as well. Both of these are really good articles. This one that I'm going to read to you right now, though, comes from Richmond.com, their sports, you know, what have you, department, whatever. Anyway, this is the article, though, and I thought it was brilliant. And it eloquently explains everything that I've been trying to explain to you guys now for the past several months. It's from a Mike Bianchi at the Orlando Sentinel, the Richmond Times Dispatch, whatever. This is a Virginia publication. The title of this article is the 72 Dolphins should be ashamed of today's tanking, disgraceful team. And we should all feel this way because it's a fact. Let me continue. Those shrinking few of us who grew up native Floridians desperately and pridefully cling to the enduring accomplishment of our 1972 Miami Dolphins. I didn't grow up as a Floridian, but I hold on to that too because I am a diehard Dolphins fan and I have been as long as I've been a football fan. The only professional sports team in the state at the time, and an immortal collection of players and coaches who became the first team in modern NFL history to win every game in their eternal march to pro football perfection. Now, here we are nearly a half century later, and all we can do is just hang our heads in shame as the pathetic and disgraceful 2019 Miami Dolphins become the first team in modern NFL history to go into a season trying to lose every game. Now, it couldn't be more obvious to everybody outside the Dolphins organization, and in fact, I would very much venture to guess that it's just as obvious to them. But our piece of shit head coach, again, has made the conscious decision to just brazenly lie to everybody right to our faces and just deny it. Oh sure, there have been other winless teams in the annals of the NFL, the 1976 Tampa Bay Bucks, the 2008 Detroit Lions, and the 2016 Cleveland Browns. But no team has so blatantly and embarrassingly gone into a season with the intent of deliberately, explicitly, and willfully trying to lose as many games as possible. Which, it couldn't be any fucking clearer, and I've been saying that. The only reason for why you do the inexplicable things that you've been doing is because you are literally trying to make this team as bad as it can possibly be. The Dolphins have gutted their roster, either cutting or trading nearly all of their most valuable personnel, the guys that you would consider to be your building blocks in a rebuild. And this is a major part of the reason why also this, along with the fact that I have no confidence in their drafting ability in their one draft to this point, but it's these things as to why I don't really see any clear, legitimate or logical plan for how this is going to pan out in the future and somehow miraculously turn around after a few years of just, putrid football. The purge culminated this past week when the team dealt its two best offensive players, up-and-coming young left tackle Laramie Tunsil and veteran receiver Kenny Stills, for 2 first-round draft picks and a second-rounder. We also gave them, I believe, a 4th and a 5th round in that trade as well. So we did give some draft capital away, too. We didn't just get draft capital from that. We gave away 2 of our best players and gave away some draft capital as well. I mean, they're just, and a lot of people are fucking trying to frame all this shit like the Dolphins are super smart. It's going to prove not to be, but I mean, even now on the face of it, it just doesn't seem fucking smart for so many different reasons. If you're a logical, reasonable person and you can put those things together. Unfortunately, there are a lot of stupid fucking people in this world. In all, only 22 of the Dolphins' 53 players were on the roster last season, and 16 projected starters are gone. Miami will be the NFL's youngest team with 27 players under the age of 25. It's so bad that more than 1/4 of the Dolphins' entire roster has been acquired in the last week, and the team's entire defensive line has 5 career sacks. I'll say that again. 5 career sacks. And again, just real quick, we went from Kiko Alonso, who has over 550 career tackles combined, so that's solo and assisted, has 16 passes defensed, 10 interceptions, 1 return for a touchdown of 60 yards, and we traded the dude for a 3 career tackle linebacker. How more fucking obvious does shit like, and then you look at the clear downgrade from Tunsil to fucking Davenport, Julian Davenport, or the clear downgrade from Ryan Tannehill to Ryan Fitzpatrick. It's just, it's so blatant and brazen, but so many people just want to live in this fucking alternate universe, and it's ridiculous. Translation: the Dolphins have knowingly and consciously put together one of the worst rosters in NFL history. They're doing it on purpose. It is intentional, but it's not going to reap any benefits in the long term. All it is doing is drastically setting this franchise back, making this team way worse than we've even been for the past couple decades. We've just been stuck in mediocrity. Now we are the laughingstock of the entire NFL. The winless Bucks, Browns, and Lions of the past were organically bad. The 2019 Dolphins are organizationally, and in parentheses, and purposely bad. They are, by my estimation, this is the writer's estimation and my estimation as well, the first NFL team to actually go into a season with the objective of tanking in what will inevitably be a futile attempt to make themselves relevant again. It is not going to work. This is not only a sad strategy, it is a bad strategy. Especially in football, where a couple of players simply cannot turn a moribund franchise into a magnificent one Oh, let's see, why is that? Because it's a fucking team sport. The Bucs drafted Jameis Winston number 1 overall 5 years ago. And guess what? They still stink. Andrew Luck was the number 1 overall pick, and he just prematurely retired. Sam Bradford, Matthew Stafford, and Jamarcus Russell were also number 1 overall picks, and their teams never amounted to anything. Of the last 15 number 1 overall picks, none has yet led their team to a championship. Of the last 15 number 1 overall picks, none has yet led their team to a championship. I'll continue. Granted, tanking in baseball has netted World Series titles for the Astros and the Cubs, but baseball is a sport that has a much greater margin for error than the NFL or the NBA. In baseball, smart organizations with astute analytics experts can draft dozens of players each year and integrate those players into great minor league systems where those draft picks are nurtured and developed. The Dolphins, as we well know, are neither smart nor astute, and of course, especially under the leadership of Stephen Ross. And of course, football is entirely different from baseball. Baseball has no salary cap, which means organizations can splurge and go on a spending spree at any time to bring in free agents that can propel them into championship contention. What makes the Dolphins' strategy even worse is that many fans and media members have seemingly signed off on it, which I have already mentioned. Is this what it's come to, where sports fans have been conditioned to accept losing as a viable strategy for winning? It's pathetic, and I would never support such a thing. And again, it just didn't need to happen. Right from the fucking, just off the fucking rip, from the jump. The firing of Adam Gase. Again, premature, and for all things that were not in his control. So juxtapose. The football decisions that Brian Flores and this regime are making are all under their control. They're making the choices. They decided to purge on multiple occasions. They decided to bring in drastically fucking less productive players. It's their choices that are making this. It was Stephen Ross's choice to fire Adam Gase. It's fucking ridiculous. Even when there is no... And also, real quick, this whole fucking bullshit narrative that the players didn't like Adam Gase or that they weren't bought in. Are you fucking kidding me? Dude, at the beginning of year... First of all, again, they went to the playoffs in year 1. Secondly, in year 3, they were showing such a magnificent team and offense until the fucking flurry of injuries. And when Adam Gase got fired, the only records that there are public are positive. There was lots of reports and comments and stuff that Adam Gase had long line, or a line outside of his office of coaches and players, you know, to say sorry and to wish him well and so on and so forth. But you juxtapose that to Brian Flores, all he's doing is being a sellout prick. He's lying to people. He's backstabbing people. Like Tunsil, oh, I'm not going to trade you. Oh, hey, you just got fucking traded. He's backstabbing the entire fucking fan base. Again, just brazenly fucking lying about the tanking situation. And then, you know, I have moral objections to the fucking sellout piece of shit that decided he wanted to support the by proxy racist white male billionaire as opposed to supporting, you know, the minority players standing up for social justice, and then furthermore decided to penalize him by trading him. Jesus fucking Christ. How much more of a fucking scumbag do you need to be? Even when there is no real data to support it, right? So no real data to support. So the previous question was, is this what it's come to, where sports fans have been conditioned to accept losing as a viable strategy for winning, even when there is no real data to support it? Can you imagine any other business where the customers actually acquiesce into accepting an inferior product? Think about it. What if you went to Ruth's Chris and ordered the filet mignon, and the waiter brought you a hamburger steak instead with the lame explanation, that'll be $65, but don't worry, we might have some filet in 3 years, maybe 4. Ask Orlando Magic fans about their team's tanking strategy, in which the Magic Brass compiled the worst record in the league during the 6 years of a failed rebuild before they finally came to the conclusion, hey, this isn't working. Maybe we should have been trying to actually win all this time, not just say it, right? Because I don't give a fuck about his words. He can say all day long, we're not tanking because I think it's disrespectful and we're going to go out and try and win every games. Yeah, bro, but your motherfucking actions speak far louder. You can say in your third public attempt that you support the protesting players, but your actions speak louder than your fucking words. Like, let's say, but your words even speak louder than those, because your first words were that he should talk to Stephen Ross, which is an absolute absurd thing to say, and then follow that up with, oh, he needs to be a company man, which essentially means you need to bow your head, shut your mouth, and do what we tell you. Then he instigates, creates an even bigger issue within the building by just brazenly, blatantly, and disrespectfully playing 8 straight Jay-Z songs the next day at practice, and then penalizing and being punitive against that player by trading him. I mean, it's so brazen and obvious. I'll continue on. And when you really think about it, has there been a case in recent NBA or NFL history where tanking has netted a championship? The Golden State Warriors never tanked. The New England Patriots never tanked. And isn't it true that tanking goes against everything we've ever been taught in sports? Absolutely. That's why I agree with Brian Flores when he does say it's disrespectful. But he's a sellout, lying piece of shit fuckhead. And again, his actions speak far louder than his words. So he's decided to make the conscious decision to just lie to everybody and say that we're not, under the premise that, oh, you should just trust me because I say to you that I think it's disrespectful to the game, but, you know, just ignore my actions. Okay, guy, whatever. Al Davis never said, just lose, baby, and let's try to aggregate a bunch of draft picks. It hasn't, and I quote, it just hasn't proven out that the best way to win is to tank, says former Magic, Heat, and Pistons coach Stan Van Gundy, who has studied this issue closely. He continues, I just don't understand why everybody accepts tanking as the way to go. The most notable example of tanking in basketball, a sport where one player actually can make a huge difference, is the Philadelphia 76ers. I keep hearing how well tanking has worked for them, and yet they've won 2 playoff series in the last 6 or 7 years. That's the definition of success? I don't think so. Quote, the basis of interest in sports is that 2 teams are out there trying to do everything they can to win a game. That's where the intrigue and drama comes from. When certain teams aren't trying to do that, all of the interest is gone. While tanking has become accepted practice throughout professional sports, it's become dangerous in terms of fans. The people who are always left out, in parentheses, in the tanking equation, are the fans who are paying huge money to see a product that is inferior by design. It's just not right. Also, like I said, if it hasn't happened yet, Brian Flores, mark my words, hear me now, quote me later, will lose the support of this team and this locker room. Guaranteed. If it hasn't happened yet, it will. In fact, it poisons the very essence of sports and pollutes how we feel about our favorite teams. I got a chance to ask iconic Dolphins coach Don Shula once how the perfect season galvanized sports fans throughout the state of Florida at a time when we had no other professional sports teams. And this is a direct quote from Shula. I'm probably more proud of that than anything, Shula said. We brought people in this state together. We were a common thread for transplants from Chicago and New York and Detroit. They all had different allegiances, but they all became Dolphins fans. Right now, not only is this ownership, regime, and coaching staff driving away players that don't want to be here, don't want to come here, but they're driving away the fans as well. And this is just disastrous on all levels. Finally, he says 2 things. Thanks for the memories. 1972 Dolphins. And then finally, tanks for nothing, 2019 Dolphins. This is sad, pathetic, and shameful. And again, I urge all Dolphins fans to, in any way you can or see fit, to protest everything that's going on with this team and this franchise. Not just from the football perspectives, but from the fundamentally moral perspectives too. How they've treated, first of all, starting with Stephen Ross and his support for the bitch of a president we have, Donald Trump, who not only is a racist, bigot, misogynist, xenophobe, but he's also a criminal and has violated numerous, including recently, numerous laws, and violated the Constitution on multiple occasions. So I mean, he's a scam artist, he's a con artist. I mean, he's just a putrid person at his core. So starting with the fact that the owner supports him, then, trickling down to the fact that our black GM and our black head coach decide they want to be fucking sellouts. And not only, Chris Greer is just hiding behind, hiding in the shadows, hasn't said anything about it publicly that I'm aware of, and the only thing fucking Brian Flores has done is kiss the feet of the white male billionaire that owns the team and say, yes sir, you gave me this contract, sir, I will do anything you ask, sir, I will bow my head for you. Do you know how fucking disrespectful that is? Do you know how goddamn much that sets back all of the supposed progress that African Americans have made in this country since the civil rights? Are you fucking kidding me? It's a fucking joke and a disgrace. Alright, this video is over an hour long. I'm going to cut it there. Man, I mean, I don't know if you guys can notice, but I'm fucking livid. So, protest by not buying tickets. Don't waste your money on this garbage. Don't buy jerseys and stuff. I'm not going to. The only thing that I will buy Dolphins right now that I'm going to commit to is only one thing, and that will be next year's draft hat, and that is only because I'm not going to let this fucking prick spoil and fuck up my collection, my desire for an ongoing collection of each year's draft hats since I started in 2015. So fuck him, I'm still doing that. But everything else, I'm not gonna buy any Dolphins paraphernalia. I wouldn't even watch the games if it wasn't for the fact that I do this channel. And goddamn it, I need to be a voice for all of this shit that nobody wants to acknowledge or nobody wants to talk about, because goddamn it, I seem to be the only fucking one. So with that, it's a perfect segue for me to go ahead and do my little outro thing. Look, again, I'm the only one saying these things, so I hope that you guys appreciate that and like it. Look, help me grow this. The more we grow, look, we got to do it together. It's going to be a long year. We're going to suffer together, but we're going to stick together. We're going to overcome, and goddamn it, we are going to fix this team. Look, I don't know how to do it or whatever. I'll maybe look into it, or I will look into it. If somebody else knows, look, I'm thinking we should even start a petition to get Stephen Ross to sell the team. I mean, I suppose we could give him this year, but I would say start fucking circulating it. I mean, because this is just super, it's appalling and disgraceful right at from its core to its surface. So, I mean, it's too fucking much. Anyway, we're gonna survive it though together, and we are gonna fix this, because that's what real fans do. That's what diehards do. They don't fucking run and tuck tail and fucking whine and cry and just fucking flee from a fight. No, we are going to attack this head on, and we are gonna get the fundamental change, just like we're gonna get the fundamental change in our government and in our society to fix the existential threats that face all of humanity, obviously. And I mean, right now you could consider it existential threats to this organization, right? And to the rich history that we are squandering and shitting away, right? Anyway, we're gonna do it together. I am gonna get up out of here because this Definitely went way longer than I wanted to, but I hope you guys enjoy and appreciate my perspective. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Fucking share this shit with all your friends and family. Put this out there, help us grow. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. I love interacting with you guys, at least the reasonable, intelligent, logical, non-childish ones out there, which is the vast majority of you. I do believe that. So, let's engage. Let's have good, constructive conversations. Let's not ignore facts and reality. And then, of course, as always, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Dillon Tartaro. And with that, I am out. I'll see y'all soon. Fins up, baby.